Hello, welcome back to the official video webcast of GeekRest.com, joined with Aaron Haaland.
From a comic show. It's a collab, kind of like those rap guys do.
Word.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm Adam Bernstein from GeekRest.com, the proprietor. Again, this is a weekly recap of basically what's going on in the news, geek-related items and whatnot. I want to throw this out there just because it was sad news. A little bit. Ralph McQuarrie, the concept artist for Star Wars, numerous other films, many of them Steven Spielberg, passed away on Sunday at the age of 82.
He lived a long life, and he contributed a whole lot to our culture. And
this man was loved.
Yes.
He was loved. And I think one of the funny things I wanted to mention about his passing is that his legacy for Star Wars is... I'm stumbling on that.
In your opinion, it overshadows Lucas, even though Lucas created the concept with the...
All right, it's Lucas's Star Wars. No, it's McQuarrie Star. He had the vision of Star Wars. He sold it to 20th Century Fox. He was like the first guy George Lucas hired, and he sold his idea to Fox with these images.
Yeah, when you think back to the 70s, and all they had was like very few sci-fi things, and this was very different. It was like, and they had to sell all these wild concepts, and you had that wild concept art to sell it with. Right. So I agree. And furthermore, this is what I feel. I mean, we've all seen, and we all have our opinions about George Lucas milking us for all of our money, which
there are a few.
I think that's just a little bit whiny. You can decide not to buy the new stuff, but it's true. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. All the merchandise money, that's where he built his entire empire.
Yes.
All the merchandising money.
Yeah.
And the merchandising is, the three-dimensional things that are the pictures, the art, everything. Like, this dude made him all that money.
I know.
Coming up with all this, the actual concepts of what this stuff really looked like. That's what sold his merchandise.
Right. The biggest fault with Star Wars is clearly the dialogue, the scripts, the writing, and that's not what's on the lunchbox. It's the visuals. The visuals.
And when you think of like
Star Wars.
Boba Fett as a kid, how much I loved Boba Fett. It was all visual. He said like maybe 5 words in Empire.
He didn't need to say a thing.
I know, but he was phenomenal, and I loved. I wanted to be Boba Fett so badly. All right, moving on.
Other film news, just to throw that out there, there's been a lot of rumors about a Venom film. This came up in the works, which is understandable given the reboot of Spider-Man.
Right.
They wanted to do Venom. I guess it was Sony reacquired the rights to Venom right around the time before Spider-Man 3. So they're like, okay, let's jump on it, let's use it. They put him in the movie. Kind of fell flat, didn't really do anything. There were talks of a standalone film shortly afterwards. Sure. Again, that fell through, but now, Sony's doing the whole reboot and...
And my question is, why wouldn't they just try to spin Venom off in his own thing after introducing him in the new Spider-Man movies? Because this is like the ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, that's what they're doing?
No, I mean, that's the big question that people have, is why giving him a standalone.
Because the ultimate Venom in that Ultimate Spider-Man story was phenomenal. Way better than some like competing photojournalist that is also a bodybuilder and I don't understand. I mean, why do you have this mad on for Peter Parker being better than you as a photographer when you obviously could win Mr. Olympia? Yeah. I mean, just transition to another line of work and you'll be very successful and just forget all about this Peter Parker guy, But the ultimate Venom was awesome.
Right.
And they tied their histories back to their parents together and everything, So if they launched it out of that, having said that, I really dig a lot of the solo Venom stuff in the comics.
Venom's awesome. He's like such a great character, still.
But him with Spider-Man, no, he does, absolutely. Okay. He has fanatical following.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the tongue, I don't know what it is, but I mean, ladies dig it. But
yeah, they do. But yeah, and that's being rumored in talks to direct Josh Trank, who just did the Chronicle film.
He's probably in talks to direct anything action-related right now because it did well.
There were rumors 2 weeks ago about he might be attached to Fantastic Four reboot, and then he's like, this is the first I've heard of it when the rumors came online, so maybe this is another rumor as well, but it's exciting to think.
Sometimes I think things start as rumors because some agents are passing the names around on a short list.
Yeah, basically.
So what I'm saying is he's probably on the short list for everything right now. You know what I mean?
True. Who may be on the short list? Nick Cage for his own film. I don't know if he's going to be on the short list. It's like being
John Malkovich, but with Nick.
How great would that be? The story,
someone goes into his head and then sells all his comic books. All the missteps. all the missteps. Like Nicolas Cage is obviously a comic book fan, so he could retcon.
Dude.
He can retcon every bad movie he made and every bad decision he made as a celebrity by saying someone went into his head like in being John Malkovich.
Oh,
yeah. All right.
That works.
I just made that up.
You
okay,
did.
Action Comics
It's a good
number
pitch.
1.
You know, his Action Comics, this was like on the news. It was stolen, I guess, in like 2000, 2001. CGC graded Action Comics number 1, very priceless.
Right.
Stolen, it turned up 11 years later, a couple months ago, in the storage locker. They identified it.
Yeah.
Sold it at auction and broke records.
Well, that's another thing about CGC for, you get that specific, like a VIN number.
You get
on
a
it.
barcode.
Well, it's like, you can track it like you would a car.
I know.
So,
That's kind of cool. It's probably the most worthwhile.
I mean, I wouldn't suggest doing it for anything other than vintage stuff, but, for vintage stuff, cool. But just the concept, I would want him to play himself. Like, if they did a movie of that, I would definitely want, remember, I don't know, I just want him to play himself.
Lionsgate picked up the rights for the film. It's already written, and it's written by the guys who did Reno 911.
Nice.
So it's comedic film, clearly, and it's focusing on the nerds who plan to steal his book. But dude, if Nick Cage was in that movie, Nick Cage playing himself, that's the role of a lifetime.
I've liked him on a little bit comedy type stuff, like adaptation and whatnot.
Dude.
I even like that Weatherman movie. I know a lot of people were hating on it, but it's that's better than most of his movies.
I didn't see that. I like The Rock. That's my thing.
The Rock?
The Rock.
That actor?
Sean Connery. And...
Oh no, I thought you meant you like the wrestler guy. I'm like, what the hell is it?
I like Dwayne. No, The Rock.
But moving on. You love Tooth Fairy and Tooth Fairy 2. You wouldn't shut up about it last time I was at your house. You were trying to get me to watch it with you. All right, moving on.
Say nothing. Let's get into comic books. A little bit of comic book news.
I love comic books.
You read comics?
Yes.
All right, let's talk some shit. Summer of Valiant. The big Valiant Comics rebirth, relaunch, coming back from the 90s.
Reimagined, it's where in the 90s it's kind of, I have to say this again, captured the zeitgeist of the 90s where, all the other comics were just doing, legacy stuff, navel gazing, or we're going to change everything about this character by killing them or breaking their back or making them insane or whatnot.
Yeah,
they're saying, Valiant said, we're going to make characters that are relevant to modern culture.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they sold really well. The same way Marvel, when they came along in the 60s, said, yo, we're going to make some characters relevant to the 60s culture. That's what Valiant did in the 90s.
That's what put them on the map pretty much, is the whole, But their characters are awesome, man. They're relaunching 4 books this summer. What is it, Exo Man of War, which is my fave.
Yeah, with Rob Vendetti, friend of the store, who wrote Surrogates, and wonderful, wonderful man. He visited us recently in here, and just a great guy. He's the perfect choice for a sci-fi book like that.
Yeah.
Perfect choice.
Yeah, and what else? We got Archer and Armstrong.
That looks ridiculous. It has the anarchy sign, and Archer and Armstrong was always this very offbeat book of basically 2 douchebags and a goat. But it was funny.
Yeah.
But they had a goat too.
Did they?
Yeah, a super goat.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Had a mask and a cape. No, that was Quantum Woody. I got that wrong.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
dude.
But
Don't
still,
set me up in my Valiant.
No, that was Quantum Woody. But no, I looked at the cover and it's still a fat dude. I love that about Valiant. They always had atypical
portly characters.
Yeah, why not? Even women in Harbinger, they had,
Ooh, Harbinger, yeah, that's another.
So and that's coming out. And Harbinger is billionaire philanthropist and young, 19-year-old or whatever, Occupy type of guy. And they're the only 2 people in the world that have psychic powers.
Yep.
They're drawn to each other. They're drawn against each other. They have just completely opposite viewpoints on politics and life.
Yep.
And they both have the power to influence culture and politics and life.
That's cool.
What's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's such a cool hook.
Yeah.
And Valiant is going to, I know from a retailer level, they had me as part of focus group just ask me what do you want? Here's a buffet of things we could do for retailers.
Yeah.
And boom. And they are going to do so many awesome things so that we can help promote it and be part of making it a success and making it something where we know these 4 books, why do they exist? What's the hook? Who will like them? Everything about that, as opposed to Marvel and DC who's name, costume, powers.
Right. Right.
But
this is no subtle relaunch. What is it, Bloodshot too, the 4th book that's coming out this summer. There's reports of, they purchased, I forget which company it was, they purchased the film rights for it. They're
Right.
interested in making a film.
That's
like
cool.
These are big, bold steps for a company that's pretty much been dormant for,
Yeah, there was a lot of
15 years
rights
almost.
issues and whatnot because it was bought by Acclaim, and the characters are.
Acclaim had the
so they had a lot
license,
of
and then they dropped
rights
it.
issues. It wasn't that the characters wouldn't have been popular, successful to be back in comics, but there was
Right.
all kinds of legal mumbo jumbo. That's all straightened out now, thankfully.
And then hopefully they'll bring some more Solar, Mandy Adam.
And those 4 books they're launching all have just such unique takes that even though they say it's this shared Valiant universe again, as a fan you could read any of them separately. As a retailer you could just rack any of them separately as if they were in essence maybe 4 different Vertigo books or 4 different indie books of that the fact that they have some superhero tropes is not the main selling point.
Right.
That's just cool. It's just like the movie Chronicle or something, that you brought up before. It's we're not talking about spandex and arch enemies and, magic rings and all that stuff. We're talking about each one has a unique take, a purpose, and a reason for being.
Right.
Almost exactly like a movie pitch.
Right. Instead of that being so black and white superheroes, it's more like the individual with abilities that they're focusing on, character-driven stuff.
I wish I had abilities.
Dude, you're able.
Yes.
Ready, willing.
Summer Valiant's gonna rock. It's gonna be a while.
Who are they gonna try to pitch these books against? Is this something that Image has to worry about?
Image has a great slate. I think that they're going with retailers and their marketing try to get new people into these comics.
Yeah.
And if Marvel doesn't step up their game with whatever they're doing other than A vs. X, they might be taking some Marvel fans, because I know DC took a lot of Marvel fans with their reboot. So,
Right.
And maybe some of these people that are coming in from my perspective that are new to comics because of reboot and only buying the reboot books, and maybe this indie or that indie, I'm gonna sell them Saga next week, but maybe they would be interested in this stuff,
Right.
because they're not hardcore everything has to be exactly the same way it was for 7 years. They're like, you got a good pitch, you got something that's gonna entertain me, cool.
Yeah.
What else am I doing on the toilet? I want to read a comic.
So Valiant's coming as the Ralph Nader of comic book companies.
Yeah, you're too scared to call him the Ron Paul.
Yeah.
He's gonna run as an independent candidate.
he's
He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. He's gonna be what gets Obama reelected. You guys are gonna have.
You think so?
If he runs,
Come on, Ron. Sorry. As you were saying with Marvel's events, other stuff going on besides Avengers vs. X-Men, which we're going to be talking about, I'm sure, for the next several months to come. News of a wedding coming up in the X-Men universe, Astonishing X-Men to be precise.
Marjorie Liu, who is, I feel like such a name dropping whore, but she's like a personal friend of mine. We've hung out plenty of times. I mean, she's cool.
Can you hook that up?
Yeah, I'll try to get her to sign in here. Sure, yeah, I can do that. No problem. I'll get you an exclusive interview. And the artist Mike Perkins has signed here plenty of times and even taught courses on drawing. So I'll find this out and I'm going to leak it. But what I'm saying is everything points to gay wedding. Mm-hmm. Everything. North Star being on the team to begin with on the covers. North Star moving to New York, which happens to have gay marriage now.
Yes.
And Marjorie Liu is a romance novelist by profession that dabbles in comics successfully, but dabbles in comics. And she's a lot of her romance novels is bisexual, like gay, all that stuff. Because it's romance. I mean, you have to have the full spectrum. You have to have the full buffet. The full buffet of connections to make if you're a romance novelist. So I would bet money that it's going to be North Star and Kyle marrying his boyfriend Kyle. I'd bet money, no way. I haven't specifically talked to either Perkins or Marjorie about it, but dude, this is going to be a great gay Marvel wedding, and it's going to be beautiful. And it's just so perfect because North Star was the first openly gay character at Marvel and everything, out of Alpha Flight, and then it was like the cover of that X-Men book, and it's just like boom. To have him be the first big publicized gay marriage, I know that Archie already.
Yes.
Well, that's a future story anyway. That's like a what if Archie thing, but
in present time, I mean, Marvel could be piggybacking on the success of Archie comics.
And it's really crazy that Archie is kind of pushing the envelope as Archie.
It's Archie.
They're like, we want to be relevant. I'm like, okay, cool, do it.
Yeah, they're like doing stuff with Cheryl Blossom now, giving her breast cancer or something like that.
Did you see that they're going to do an Occupy Riverdale.
Occupy Riverdale. Yeah, well, what's Veronica's dad? Is like, come on, that's
you can
made
do anything
for
with
Occupy.
Archie. Archie is this elastic concept, you know? You got this classic Americana that continued to get updated, like those, I don't know why we're talking about this, but those collections, there's like Archie in the 40s, Archie in the 50s, Archie in the 60s, Archie in the 70s. What about Archie now?
Dude.
What are we talking about now? We're talking about gay marriage. Why not?
You know they're going to have a volume that covers all this stuff and
Yeah.
keeps Archie relevant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So why it might seem weird for something that's been around for so long and is Archie to be, you know, trend spotting,
Right.
it's actually reasonable when you look at the whole concept of Archie. But we didn't want to talk about Archie.
We want to
talk about gay marriage.
Yeah, that's what we
want to talk about. So
buddies. So that wasn't announced or anything, but the rumors all kind of point to North Star.
I would bet money. I mean, come on.
It's,
We called it.
We called it.
Yeah.
You heard it. We'll see you at the wedding. Astonishing X-Men.
We should do a video
number
of like
51.
a mock North Star wedding. Someone cosplays as North Star.
That would be good.
That would be the only costume you would need.
Yeah. Who's going to be Kyle?
A hot dude.
Some hot dude. All right.
Some young guy.
Anything else this week that was relevant?
I don't know, man. I mean, we could spoil all the things that
I know. I don't want to talk Walking Dead.
Hey, in Walking Dead, somebody died.
Somebody
Spoiler.
died. If someone.
It was out of order from the way they die in the comic. Spoiler. I mean,
Spoiler.
Shane's still kicking, but spoiler, it wasn't Shane dying. I mean, like,
Shane's not dead yet.
all right. So we talked about possibly doing sporadic spoiler videos where we just talk about things up to the minute,
People are talking about this. I want to talk about it.
but we don't want to spoil stuff for people.
The zombies did it.
Yes, it was all the zombies' fault.
Work. Okay.
All right, so that's it. That's Geek Rest. It's 7th day. Go take a nap.
Yeah. Sounds good. See you next week. Adios.